Yes, hello, I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR406. It's AEW Prelude, but I am not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by up first. It's Jaxie. How you doing?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Hello, James. I'm glad to be here talking everything AEW again with you.
And everybody listening, cheering, go, we got the happy Jaxie. Hey! This is
Hey. That's so true.
Yeah, it is. And because it's AEW, we also got Gina joining us as well. How's it going?
Hello, thank you for having me again. I'm getting really excited about how many times you want me on the show.
Well, it's funny because I saw on Twitter the other day, and someone was saying what a nice voice you had, which is nice and also a little creepy, guys. So let's back off a little bit, but still, it's lovely. And
wait, that might be have because we're both twins. We're both twins. So what's her voice? How is her voice different to mine? Why
again,
didn't
mine's
is
less
mean to
swearing.
any shit. I didn't mean to say
that.
You've already started stuff.
Every time.
Well, thank you for that comment, whoever made that.
Well, no, I saw your tweet. You go, well, I'm not a regular. I was just on this show and the one last week, and actually I'm on next week as well. So it's
yes.
Yeah.
I think you're more
I
kind of like
special.
a regular now. Like it's you're getting, we're used to. You are part of the team, and of course the predictions as well that we got that everybody's really excited about. And weirdly enough, I've got no emails about people wanting me to win. But hey, again, it's not about me. I don't care, who wins and loses at the end of the day. But today we're going to catch up with Dynamite and Rampage, and I cannot wait. So let's get to it, straight into it. Dynamite, January 12th. We get a promo to start between the Undisputed Era and the Young Bucks. Best friends arrived, and Baker and Cole, for the first time in AEW, will fight together. They sealed it with a kiss. It was a very WWE way to start, but we are going to see, of course, Baker and Adam Cole teaming up, and then we get CM Punk versus Wardlow. And just when Wardlow delivered 5 powerbombs that secured the win, popped to the apron and demanded his muscle continue the punishment. We got 2 more power bombs, leaving the best in the world on a heap in the apron. Doing his job, as MJF put it, Wardlow then powerbomb Punk through a timekeeper's table. Punk managely evaded the 10 count, and again distracted by MJF, Wardlow fell victim to the inside cradle as Punk scored the win. And after the match, Wardlow T-split with MJF, who braided him after the bell, but cooler heads prevailed for now. So, Gina, what did you think of Wardlow versus Punk? Because I was really surprised how one-sided.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not surprising in terms of having seen Wardlow's current matches that he's had so far. He's been pretty dominant. So I would have been shocked to see him not as dominant in this match. But it was still quite shocking because you don't expect that. You think, CM Punk, he's going to smash it. He'll probably be the only one who can meet Wardlow on par. And yeah, that happened. You're like, okay, they are really building this guy. I'm all for it. I thought it was a great match, and MJF's just a twat as usual. And it's so fun to just see that story coming to fruition, just seeing the breakdown of the friendship and the partnership between Wardlow and MJF. And even though it may have been slow building, this is why it's worth it, because when you get to the end part, like where we are now, it's made it all worth it because of the storytelling.
Yeah, I think without that, and I think it's something AEW does really, really well. Wardlow's biggest match, and he didn't shit the bed. He actually, like I said, it kind of built on his star. But, Jax, it's interesting because we talk about Punk and MJF. This story's going on for a long time. But the Wardlow MJF story, for me, I think it's more interesting. Is there a case that it might take the shine off the Punk MJF feud?
No, do you know what? I actually think this is kind of all part of Punk's plan. Like, Punk came into this sort of new company and told everyone right from the get-go on the mic he wants to fight new people, he wants to kind of put over new people. And it's not just MJF that is the future of AEW, it's also Wardlow. And I think that kind of merging the storyline of what is happening between Wardlow and MJF along and incorporating Punk into it is actually just solidifying both of them, both of these two newer wrestlers, and solidifying kind of their status within the company. You've got, this continuous ongoing feud at the moment with Punk and MJF. And you've got that that slight edge of, the storyline with Wardlow coming into play, like kind of not wanting to follow and abide to what MJF is wanting to say. And I think that incorporating Punk into it is actually just kind of not only helping sort of that star status that both of them probably could do with, but also just actually showing at how well Punk is able to put over other wrestlers. I mean, his match with Wardlow was great. It just made Wardlow look and come across like a beast. He was very dominant, and this is exactly what we want to see from someone like Wardlow, from a big guy like Wardlow. He's so far done a lot to be known as MJF's side piece. So right now it's the early stages still, but you could still see that storyline coming in. And just like you said, I think this whole storyline between Wardlow and MJF is so enticing. You want to find out what's happening, and so it's just leaving you wanting more and more each week.
Well, this is and that's what's great storytelling is. It's having, the one story, and it's like an onion, different layers, and you've still got
exactly.
This is offshoot from that, and that's why it works really, really well. Like you said, most people, probably seen Wardlow for the first time against CM Punk, gone, who the fuck is this? He looks like a monster, and he killed him. It's like,
Exactly.
It is great stuff from AEW. And then Dante Martin beat Hobbs, thanks to Jay Lethal, which was the same match back-to-back to the one we saw with Punk and Wardlow, really. And then AEW World Champion Hangman Adam Page hit the ring and said he's looking for a new challenger. Dan Lambert appeared. Luckily, he didn't want the match, though. It was Lance Archer who returned, stalked to the ring, teasing a beatdown Lambert, only to turn on Page, delivering the blackout, driving Hangman into a chair to close things out. Gina, what about this for an AEW World title feud? I mean, for me, I think Page will obviously win, but it will keep him busy to the pay-per-view.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm a big fan of Lance Archer. You can even ask my sister when we first started to watch AEW and Lance Archer came into it with Jake the Snake. I was such a Jake the Snake fan back in his WWE days. So as soon as I saw him come in, I was already drawn to Lance. But I'll admit, I did miss seeing him when he was off for a bit. So yeah, him returning, I was really excited. I am excited to see the match between him and Adam Page because I think it's going to be brilliant. But I don't think it's going to go anywhere with Lance. I don't think Lance will win it, unfortunately. I think his time has to come a different time, not right now. But I still really look forward to the match.
Well, I just going off of that as well, I just want to quickly say that when it comes to Lance Archer, I was super excited to see him return. I don't even mind that he's kind of already gone heel. However, I'm confused as to why Dan Lambert is kind of associated himself with Lance Archer and Jake the Snake. That you're not needed, Dan. Why are you there? Jake the Snake has plenty of mic talk. He don't need you. So that is my biggest question coming out of this.
Well, I think about that, but I don't know too much about Jake's health or anything at the moment. I mean, like I said, he's been through a lot in his life, and I think Dan Lambert is a guy that can go, he's definitely a heel, so we know that, and, through association, so to speak. But, like it says, what I'm worried about is what happens afterwards. It looks great to see Archer, after lands on his head like he did, to make a full recovery and come back. Fantastic, but just worry, if whatever happens in the title match, is he going to be on Dark or Elevation in a couple of weeks' time rather than Dynamite again? And his moment hopefully will come. Then we see Serena Deeb attacking Erika Ishida from behind, wiping out a left knee from underneath her. A vicious assault on the limb continued in the ring, where she pummeled it, and eventually the referee called for the bell. And after the match, Deeb further attacked Shida with a kendo stick, so the referees in trying to hit the ring to chase her off. Do you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing a best of 7 series between the two, because they've got so much hatred,
You can really feel the tension building between each of them week in and week out. And, at the start of this feud, especially for me, I was like, this is going to be a great match, but Shida's going to smash it. And then that'll be end of Serena Deeb for a bit, that sort of thing. Shida will move on. I really enjoy this ongoing feud. And like you rightly said, James, this ongoing, continuous building of hatred between both of these women. And I've got to admit, I wasn't entirely sold on Serena Deeb as a wrestler. And since these matches have begun, and even, just Serena Deeb's talk with JR and everything, I'm starting to actually respect Serena in terms of her wrestling ability. I didn't know much about her from the indie point of view in the first place, so I'm really getting like my first sort of real big clear picture of her since joining AEW. And I honestly thought that this was going to be a one and done match, and the continuous build on this feud is something I'm really enjoying. And I'm so itching for Shida to get that win over Serena Deeb, but I'm also not mad at the fact that they've not, outright given us that straight away and ended this feud. I enjoy it, and like you said, I would happily take a series of 7.
That's what I'm saying. We just need more time for this. Match a week. I'm happy about.
Yeah.
We don't see.
I can't even like it with the. You know how they did that with WWE? They did it with Sheamus and Cesaro.
Yeah.
They had like a best of 7 before they ended up pairing them together. I thought that was really good as well. So I think if they could do it for the men, definitely if they're going to do it for the women, Deeb and Shida are going to be probably some of the greatest feuds that we might actually continuously see built.
Yeah, without that. And actually,
but she does injured, isn't she now?
This is all part of the storyline, though, so I don't know.
No, but you saw her knee, so I'm like, how long is she out? Because that knee is super injured.
I was going to say, but this adds intrigue and interest to it. And even if we see during the injury, Deeb going around and injuring other wrestlers, to continue Sheeta finally coming out and getting it, then that's what. This is the thing that brings excitement. It's just there is something about it. Up next, we see Penta Daddy, and after the match, he sent a message to Malachi Black, vowing to show him some respect. When Irina Dark and the Black arrived, the Varsity Blondes hit the ring in search for revenge. A 3-on-1 beat ensued until Julia Hart urged the team to stop. Irina darkened again, and when the lights came back on, Brody King made his AEW debut. The big man destroyed everyone before standing alongside Black. Gina, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, aren't you? You can't win sometimes. If it's an ex-WWE star, people to complain. If they go, well, we've never been in WWE, you just can't win.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I wasn't aware of who Brody King was. Jaxie had to tell me who he was when he turned up because I had no idea who that was. So I didn't have that excitement pop. Well, I did in a way because I was like, who's this? Someone knew. But it wasn't until Jaxie told me the backstory and their history together that then I kind of realized, and I was more excited to just see this team up between them. They're doing really well. I have to slip in. How much longer does Julia Hart need to wear that eye patch? How much longer, okay? Because, girl, that was months ago.
In here.
She needs to turn it into a pirate gimmick. Slowly, surely. Next time she gets asked a question.
Bring a bottle of rum, girl, and just stagger your way to the ring halfway through the Varsity Bonds match, and be like, sorry.
Yeah, are you wrestling next week?
That would
yar,
be so funny.
Yar. Just each week. Just like,
for sure.
Parrot on the shoulder. Just like little things. It'll work.
Yeah.
But next thing you know, she'll like come out with like a treasure chest,
Well, anyway, forget about
her opponents in gold.
Forget about parrots. We've got Bear Country getting beaten by the Acclaimed. That's a segue. And then Sammy Guevara beat Danny Garcia with 2.0 fighting in a circle with Eddie Edwards and Jericho facing off. This was alright, I suppose. And then Rampage, January 14th, Adam Cole beat Trent. They shoehorned the women's match in. We see Hirsch and Statlander not getting on the main event. Alex Reynolds and Johnny Hungy came up short in the Dark Order's quest for gold against tag champs Jurassic Express. But this was a quality match, though. But is the tag team titles, I'm not saying relegated to Rampage, but it seems to be defended there quite a lot.
Yeah, so I feel like when it comes to this, I'm not with the tag titles. first of all, the match was great. I really enjoyed it. I thought both teams gave it their all. I really love Alex Reynolds and John Silver's team up. They've got so much good chemistry together. It just is always entertaining to watch them. I did notice that the tag titles haven't really been showcased on Dynamite that much, but I also don't know if that's just like a time issue thing. Like they don't have the time to be fitting every storyline to do with every title on just like the 2-hour show of Dynamite. So I'm wondering whether or not they're like kind of, playing about with it a bit, but maybe Tony needs to realize, maybe flip it about, put the tag titles still on Dynamite at times, because otherwise we're gonna miss that. And we get a lot of decent tag team matches that aren't for the titles, but you can still actually have some sort of program turn up on Dynamite. And lately I've just been realizing that there's not been that many. So
I mean, yeah, like I said, it's not a bad thing as such, but he's changing it up every now and again rather than becoming, like you said, when it's Rampage. And also Rampage, what I quite like in a way, is like they go, fuck the entrances. Just get straight to it. It's like, we can cram in 15 minutes.
I mean, I feel like that it's the same. It's the same with Hook. We only get to see Hook really on Rampage, so I feel like in a way it's not necessarily a SmackDown versus Raw type of thing, but I feel like they've just kind of been like, right, so the tag titles, let's just leave those as Rampage being defended on, and Hook, will only put him on Rampage matches, things like that. So I don't know. I feel like
Adam Cole's got to have the opening match. Adam Cole in the opening match. We've got Hook, the tag belt. Yeah, it's Rampage. Yeah.
Send Hook to Wednesday night Dynamite, please. Send Hook.
Well, speaking of Dynamite, Wednesday the 19th, for the first time since October 27th, Jon Moxley returned to Dynamite, drawing a huge ovation from the fans in Washington. He's basically was talking about what he went through. They are the scars that make us, referencing his absence and the dark cloud. He said, I'm going to him by the balls because now more than ever I'm free. And the thing I love about Mox as well is the emotion that you see pouring out of him. The only thing I drink now is blood. This was wonderful. Gina, I mean, Moxley is just, I just want to be him. I can't explain it more than that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Mox he always brings that energy with him. And every time he has his entrance, everybody's just lit from the minute his music drops, and everybody embodies what he is bringing to that ring. His kind of welcome back speech for himself just gave me goosebumps. And it's just, again, admiration. There are so many different types of fans who watch this wrestling. And, to see someone that you truly admire as a fellow wrestler of yours, to see that they've had these struggles and come back, it does also, provide you hope as a fan, thinking if I've hit rock bottom, I can come back as well. So I definitely loved his return. Literally going to ignore that twat who decided to try and shout something out, and I loved the Mox's response to him. But aside from that, I'm just
very happy.
Good. I'm just excited to see Mox back in action more regular now.
Yeah, well, like I said, Mox's first word was "go fuck yourself," and I hate comparing, but there is a real stone cold vibe from Mox where it's the unpredictability when he comes out. You just don't know what he's going to say, what he's doing. It's from the heart as well. And I'm sure, Jackson, you were happy to see Moxley back, and looking really good.
Yeah, definitely. It was just really nice to actually kind of, as you said before, James, it was so nice to hear him, explain like he's back, he's gone through some stuff, and now he's back with a vengeance. That line where he said like all he does now is drink blood, I was just kind of raring to see him go. I was like, well, bring down some victim. Who's the first victim? Bring him down now. I was so excited to see him sort of just already get started. Hell, just bring that idiot that was shouting shit into the ring, let him paradigm shift him, and then you ain't gonna say shit then, are you? At least we got to see it. But it was just really, really great. It was really feel good just to see him back. And if you compare the way he looked coming to the ring compared to, that of last year, he just looked so healthy. It was so nice to see. Really, really glad to have you back, Mox.
The thing about Moxie as well is kind of how important he is to kind of even wrestling history now, when there's not many wrestlers that still getting referenced and shown. With Rollins and Reigns, you have to put Ambrose in there as part of the Shield, and such a huge impact. And it's great to see him doing what he wants to do. And let's hope now he can have a run of just, like I said, wreaking hell as it was.
Yeah.
Up next. And I was surprised this wasn't the main event, but then again, what was the main event was worthwhile. Adam Cole and Britt Baker versus Chris Statlander and Orange Cassidy. And this was a really competitive match, obviously, between the two teams. The Hill set up the table. Cassidy inadvertently sent Baker through the table, igniting a rage inside Cole. And Cole's facials and visuals was, I have a go at Becky Lynch, but Cole is spot on. You can see the anger in his eyes, who hit a low blow and put his opponent away. Because before, of course, checking on the good doctor. I thought this was a great match. Gina, what do you think?
I really enjoyed it. I think that we got some good spots between both sides. We got to see Chris and Britt reignite their previous history, because we know that they've had previous history as well. And we also got to just see Adam Cole shine and fight against Orange Cassidy. These two just have so much good chemistry off of each other. I would happily see those two continue a feud for the next couple of months as well. I definitely think that they can bring more to the table, but they can also handle their matches alone. So it's a complete different situation to maybe like Maurice and Miz, where I wouldn't really be invested in Maurice having, a storyline with somebody else. I am very invested in Britt separately, and I'm also invested in Adam separately, because they've both established who they are individually before they even came together as a couple to fight. So for me, that really works well. I would have liked to see more of Britt and Chris, but I think that can happen more in another singles match rather than in that tag match. But it was a great match, and I find it hilarious that Britt went through the table when her and Adam had been the ones to set it up. It was just kind of like the cherry on the cake,
It all worked so well. And like you said, the other thing as well is I don't know what they put in the water with AEW, but again, Adam Cole and Orange Cassidy look like they really don't like each other. And this is something that we've seen from Cassidy recently, and then with Adam Cole now. And like I said, I hope they don't. Cole and Baker are brilliant. You can go back to that at any point, but just don't make it like a consistent thing, because they're so good, like you said, by themselves. But really good stuff. And then I was looking forward to seeing Punk versus Sean Spears, but Punk beat him in a perfect 10.
That was so funny.
Which was, a little bit disappointing, but I think that's Sean Spears summed up in AEW, isn't
it? You've totally got that right. I mean, you've got to admit, Sean Spears is so much talk. He's just so much talk, and yet he never delivers. And I think this has actually got to be his new gimmick, because I actually found it so incredibly entertaining at how much he was gearing himself up in the ring. He's like, pointing out to MJF, like, watch me go, watch me, Dad. Ready? Are you ready to watch me? And then straight away he just got screwed over. That was just brilliant. That's probably my favorite segment of Sean Spears so far on AEW. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, Sean Spears is that school bully who chats so much shit, but then when someone confronts him, he's the first one to run away. That's Sean Spears for you.
It is entertaining, And again, it's on the story of Punk and MJF as well, Then we had a Cody promo, which felt long, and can we just stop with the WWE references now? And then we get the House of Black destroying the Varsity Blondes. This was great stuff. Archer defeating Kazarian. Did anybody think Kazarian's still on the roster? I forgot about that. Like, what happened with the Elite Hunter gimmick?
He just kind of turns up really randomly, doesn't he? It kind of feels like Kazarian wakes up and goes, shit, I got work today. And then just jumps on to work. Beat someone up. Or
maybe he can find beer on the way. Kazarian, find beer.
Imagine if one day, like, Frankie Kazarian just comes up and comes out with a new tag team partner. It's like, oh, I just went across the seas to go and grab someone. His name's Beer. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Exactly. Someone.
They're walking out like, shit, wrong show, shit, wrong.
The pop V is going to get when he debuts is going to be massive.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
just on the WNR podcast, even the people in the arena. I think.
I agree there.
Well, because the Herion unfortunately lost, and then Archer was going to tease Blackout onto a steel chair, but Adam Page made a save, rocking Archer his cowboy boot for trying for the buckshot lariat. Archer cut him off. Page fought out of a choke and sent his top contender over the top rope. Of course, retreated. The one problem with Archer and Kaz during this, they got the dreaded no reaction a little bit. But Lance did bring it back by shouting at a little girl, which is always enjoyable. Only in wrestling, I will say. Only in that arena. Again, and then we see Deeb defeating Blue. Andrade and Matt Hardy joining forces. This has got to be for a bigger payoff down the line, surely.
I mean, I really hope so, because otherwise I don't understand why he's teaming up with Matt Hardy when, I'm really sorry to say, but right now the Hardy Family Foundation or whatever are on a real losing streak, you know? So there has to be a bigger payoff, because otherwise I don't understand why Andrade has decided to team with them.
And you can't really add any more letters, because otherwise it's going to get a bit ridiculous. You know what I mean? You end up the MAHFO or something like this. You can end up saying. So you got to be careful. And then the main event for Dynamite was Sting and Darby Allin versus the Acclaimed. And the Acclaimed jumped Sting and Darby Allin, wrapping a chair around Darby's head and sending him throat first into the ring post. The action spilled outside. Allin flew into the picture, wiping out the heels. He reintroduced himself. Back inside, the Acclaimed delivered a mic drop to Allin, but Sting broke up pin up. He dumped the heels to the outside and then casually jumped off the stage and drove Kaiser through the timekeeper's table. I mean, every time we seem to talk about AEW, Sting is just doing something fucking mental. I don't know if he's turned into like New Jack, but like, it's just, how can a man his age keep doing stuff like this?
Listen, that whole main event, when he actually got up on that stage and jumped through that table, my hands were on my head. And I was actually just like trying to figure out whether or not this is a really great dream I'm having or if this is legit. Because the man is like 62 years old and he had no problem whatsoever getting up on that stage and jumping into a table, which he took the main brunt of, by the way. So, I mean, this man's a god. I love him.
No one has ever done, apart from Shawn Michaels' second run, I can't think of another wrestler who's kind of rejuvenated himself and brought it. Because, you know, I thought he was a broken down old man who injured in matches and, you know, couldn't do it. And because of the way they're booking him as well, and with Darby Allin, it's just perfect. And, you know, the coffin drop to get the win. But it's like, Darby is so lucky Sting is his dad. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
You know? Like...
He really is. I mean, I can't deny that I'm not jealous, because I am extremely jealous. That you know, of all the sort of I don't even know what I would call them, proteges to get picked, and Darby Allin got picked. I mean, I'd still be running through the arena being like, Sting picked me, you know.
Yeah.
But I
also want to shout out the Acclaimed, because I like the Acclaimed. I think they're really great, and I think they helped to make Sting look amazing, because it basically was like a 2-on-1 match for a majority of it until Darby came back out. And you know, I do feel like the Acclaimed did a lot to help make Sting just look like a god out there. So yeah, I do hope that those two get their time to shine, you know, at the top at some point, because I really do enjoy watching them like fight, and they're also very entertaining, and they both have great mic skills too.
They do.
No, I completely agree. They're really over, because like even in defeat, they'll still be able to, you know, talk shit the next time round and still have the, you know, respect and the hate from the crowd. So, like I said, they're two really talented individuals, and this was really fun main event. For me, it felt very WWE Dynamite. It's a few quick matches focusing more on the story to get the point told, which again is not a problem sometimes, kind of changing up from what we expect. And then Rampage, January 20th. Moxley back in action, beating Ethan Page. And Ethan is a solid hand, but he had no chance in this one. Then we had a face-off with Danielson after, so it looks like we're going to get that match. Moxley back in action, it can only be a good thing, like we said.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was a great match. I think Ethan Page right now is having some of the best matches of his career. And even though he's not coming across and winning, at the same time, I've got to admit that I'm enjoying seeing his wrestling matches because of how well he's working with these different individuals. It was so great to see Mox back in action. He looked like he hadn't missed a beat. With the way that Mox wrestles, it just comes naturally to him, and so you just end up vibing alongside him, getting in that sort of wrestling mood. And that is exactly kind of how I felt watching this match. I was like, I wanted to see more, So yeah, just keep bringing on the John Moxley matches because right now he can do no wrong.
I mean, without doubt, we see Trent beat Nick Jackson in a really good match. Hook killing Serpentico. Cargill beating Anna Jay. Really strong finish. 25-0. And I'm a sucker for an undefeated streak. A bit much like Oscar, where I never wanted it to end. Cargill 25-0. I love the graphic. There's so much potential to this story. And each and every it's just a star. It is just bring it on. Like, just give us more. That's all I want,
Definitely agree with that. Jade is really rich. She's really kind of jumped up there in terms of my top women in WWE. That's not saying that she wasn't up there before, but with each and every match, they're booking her. So this is exactly how you book a dominant female wrestler. And they have just been right from the very get-go of introducing her. They have just continuously showcased her strength, showcased what she can bring, and also just showcased how she's still continuously learning each week. And I appreciate that. It's just great to see her with gold around her right now. It's going to be even more satisfying when they build up a wrestler to eventually lose that streak. But I hope that they don't do a WWE and just ruin it just like that. Oscar should never have lost her streak at WrestleMania. If you haven't heard that from me before, then you clearly are a newbie to WNR podcast. So go back and check out some of our other stuff if you really want to hear my thoughts on the Oscar streak. But that being said, yeah, please don't lose her streak anytime soon. Just yet. I'm ready for Jade to continuously keep dominating right now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I would see 100-0 not be sick of that. I think that's, what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a target. The matches aren't long either, so it's not like it's just going to be overworked. It's not.
Exactly.
And then
Can I also add that Jade's abs are bloody amazing? She actually makes me want to get abs. She's got an amazing body. I just had to throw that in there.
Oh yeah, right. You do washing on them. Let's talk about we move on. Dynamite, January 26th, and it is Beach. Is it Beach Break? I'm going to say Beach Break. I'm probably getting it wrong.
Yeah.
I always say Beach Blast. Just because I'm an old man. It is Beach Break, isn't it? And we started off with a ladder match for the TNT Championship, Cody Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on in this match, so I'll try and hit the highlights. And Guevara leapfrogged to the tippy top there and delivered a cutter that brought Rose crashing to the mat. Now, of course, WrestleMania 17 with Edge spearing Jeff Hardy, but this was one of the moments with a cutter off ladder. I was agog. My jaw was just open at that point. I thought it was as a.
I really do love that you said. I love that you already brought up the Edge and Jeff Hardy moment at WrestleMania, because that is instantly what I thought of when Sammy delivered that cutter in the air. It really looked like it. It
was beautiful. There's not another word. That is. It was the contact on that as well. Picture perfect. Both wrestlers spread across two ladders. Rose delivered a crossroads, leaving Sammy writhing in pain. We see a swanton a la Jeff Hardy. Hello, Jeff Hardy. Off the ladder, nearly snapping Sammy. Both men fought atop the ladder for Guerrero. Blasted Rose with one of the belts, knocking to the mat. Guerrero battles and scored the biggest win of his career. Like I said, no fucking around with his entrances. I mean, the cutter and the crossroads have all shortened careers, but I mean, Gina, what did you think of this match?
It was brilliant. I mean, they executed everything perfectly. And again, I know that people have their issues with Cody, but he never ceases to deliver. And it's like you give him all this hate, but look at how excited the crowd was. They were so loud watching that match because it was so goddamn entertaining to watch. And it is one of those matches that people are going to go back and watch again. Because again, they, as you both mentioned, they had that kind of Jeff Hardy edge moment. And if you haven't seen it, guys, you've really got to go and see it. It's so perfectly executed. And I kind of wish I was that flexible. I probably would break my neck. So fair play to the two wrestlers involved. But it was a great match. I really enjoyed it. And I'd happily see another match between them later on in the future.
I mean, they talk about...
Can I ask you this, James? Is it just me, or did Cody deliver a pedigree off the middle rope? Was that a pedigree?
Either a pedigree or... Well, this is the thing, because it can be a Tiger Driver as well. So I guess people... But I think it was, I would say, they'll call it a pedigree, basically.
We all know he's been teasing doing it, and I just can't help but feel like this was his way of being able to do it without actually doing it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but like I said, there's a lot of shots from Cody at the moment.
I'm not mad at it. I'm really not mad at it. I love this whole heel Cody side, that he's not a heel, that he's constantly teasing whether or not he's going to use the pedigree and stuff. I don't have an issue, just like my sister. I don't have an issue with Cody. I actually think he's doing a great job.
Well, especially with matches like this. Like, it was pay-per-view worthy, this was. My only issue was they were trying to kill each other. That's the only thing I'm going, especially with Sammy, I go, you're still a young man, and you're taking these moves, and it is going to take its toll. But then again, I've said that about Darby Allin, he continues to do
I was about to say, same could be said about Darby Allin. I think they both just have, like, death wish. Like, they're just, like, they're both daredevils, aren't they? They both are just willing to put their bodies through whatever. And I still, even though I say about, Cody, like me enjoying sort of what he delivers on AEW, that being said, I still think that the best man won and the right man won. I think that Sammy definitely needed to re-pick up his win from Cody, because if I didn't actually think it was right that Cody won the belt so quickly from Sammy in the first place. But I suppose they were kind of going about doing it this way, especially with the pandemic involved. They had to kind of maybe turn things around. But yeah, overall, this match was very much a pay-per-view worthy match.
Yeah, it was incredible. Like I said, if anybody's not seen it, then stop listening to the podcast right away, watch it, and then come back. We'll wait. We don't mind. Excellent. And then Wardlow defeated Alexander and Dean. We see Jericho, Santana, Ortiz defeating 2.0 and Garcia. And then CM Punk called MJF a fan and exclaimed that fans don't love him because he wins or hate him because he loses. They love him because he always gets back up. MJF looked to test that theory, joined his Pinnacle teammates, Wardlow, FTR, and Sean Spears for an attack on Punk. MJF ordered Wardlow to powerbomb in the chair, and after some hesitation or look of disgust on his face, he did it. You're so apropos that the same place your journey began is the same place it ends. I'll see you in Chicago, MJF said at the end of the segment. Weirdly seated on the fallen body of his foe. I didn't think he was going to take a shit on him, but it was a really weird position. But Gene, what did you think of the segment anyway?
It was okay. I mean, I feel like I don't really have many views on it. I think I enjoyed it. I feel like,
but with this whole thing of, like, him beating up Punk just before his Thursday match in Chicago, and you also know that, like, that's Punk's hometown, that it really gets you thinking, well, you ain't winning then, you just beat him up, so you're on a high right now. So, for wrestling fans, that's like a very well-known trait in the WWE, that, the person losing gets a massive hype or a massive win the week before. So from my point of view, I was like, well, this is just solidifying you're about to get your first defeat.
Well,
yeah.
the thing is, the match was finally announced, MJF and CM Punk at this point for Chicago. So
because he has no one else to go through.
Well, this is what I'm saying. It felt a bit Jericho-esque with MJF kind of going through people to get to this point. But I think Punk here, talk about a brush with greatness and certain other things in this promo. You see it with Punk, and there's, like I said, I don't want him to go heel and be an arsehole again, all this kind of shit. But there's moments where he talks about it. I always remember, doing a promo to Rock about your hands are just too short to box with God. And it's these little things where I love it about Punk, and the brush with greatness in this one was brilliant. Legit Layla Hirsch beat Red Velvet after the match. She attempted further damage, but Chris Statlander made a save. Malachi Black and Brody King issued an honest warning to Pac and Death Triangle. Black ended by saying the House of Black, like death, is inevitable. Britt Baker with a boring in-ring segment. Nothing much said. I mean, what are they doing with Baker? I'll ask you, Jaxie, what do you want done with Britt Baker next?
Well, I mean, I love Britt Baker. I love the persona of her, the character of her. I think it's great, but they got to do something with her now. And I think that it's either got to be that we finally get the Thunder Rosa Britt Baker team match off, where Thunder Rosa will come out of this victorious, because we all know that it's got to be Thunder Rosa that takes this belt off of Britt. But we need to start planting the seeds for that match to actually happen. And right now she's kind of going through all of the roster. It's about time that either Jamie Hayter's had enough and is just going to go for it herself, and then that sort of tumbles on and leads to the Thunder Rosa thing, or we're scrapping the Thunder Rosa thing and then just going straight with Jamie Hayter's a very much like Wardlow, fed up of being her sort of her wall, her security, and actually go for it herself.
Yeah, well, I think she got a bit lost in the crowd with the chants going on at this point, and no one interrupting, which you never expect.
Yeah.
Growing up.
I mean, especially lately, over the past few weeks, AEW have become a bit notorious over the past few weeks for interruptions.
Didn't no one interrupted? All right, maybe I missed it in that break. And then the main event, the lights out match, Orange Cassidy versus Adam Cole. First off, Cole found Danhausen under the ring. I loved this. Danhausen's a guy I've been following on Twitter for a while. He actually has done a podcast with Conan O'Brien, which he's out of character and explaining who he is to him basically for half hour, which really helped with the Danhausen character, because this is a dude just a normal independent wrestler, and then thought to start doing dark magic and dressing up as this kind of crazy guy and becoming a success. And there is similarities with him and Orange Cassidy, so it's great to kind of see them together as well. I thought it was really fun.
Yeah, I don't know much about Danhausen, I must admit. So my first sort of seeing of this character was during this match. But that being said, I was so intrigued by the way he looked. He kind of gave me a bit of a Darby Allin type vibe with the face paint, but I also was very pleased to see that he wasn't coming into AEW in connection to Darby Allin, So the fact that it was for Orange Cassidy made me really intrigued. I was like, is he going to join the Best Friends? Is he one of those people that's kind of he looks like the type of loner type that doesn't necessarily need a faction himself either? So I'm intrigued to see what he's going to do.
Yeah, and one of the things I love about him is that he has Hausen to everything. So, that is, it's little things sometimes. As for the match, Orange Cassidy wrapped a steel chain around his fist for an orange punch, but Cole bowed to the floor. The fight spilled backstage, but Cole drove his opponent through a table and a monitor with a Death Valley driver. Cole rocked his opponent with a super kick, then set up for the boom, but Cassidy caught him with a super kick, reapplied the chain, but ran directly into stage light. Cole then scaled a trash, about to look up that word, but lost track of his opponent, who had followed him up and delivered a perfectly timed low blow. Orange Cassidy then hugged Cole. I'm laughing whilst reading. He hugged him, looked him in the eyes, and then dropped off the side of the stage, threw it for the win, and Cassidy won. And Cole's anger of impact on the replay as well. That was a couple of steps away, looking really fucked up. It's like he, thrown out of a moving auto vehicle, JR, if you were. But this was a great main event, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, do you want to answer this one? I feel like I've been talking about.
Sorry, so Gina, what did you think of
Well,
this? Yeah,
I
go on.
spoke about Orange Cassidy and Adam's chemistry a bit earlier when they had their other match with Brett. But yeah, it was a great match, still entertaining. Again, they have such good chemistry together. I kind of didn't see. I saw the match going both ways. I didn't know who was going to win, which is really nice. I love it when you have those matches where you're just like, actually, wait, no, Orange Cassidy might win. No, Adam Cole's going to win. So it was nice to just be not in the know of what's going to happen here, and you couldn't predict what was going to happen. I'm glad they didn't injure themselves because it did look really, really close. And I was worried, oh great, now we're going to have Adam Cole missing for weeks on end and Orange Cassidy, but thankfully they both pulled it off really well. And yeah, I do think that they'll move on now to other people, but if we get Orange Cassidy and Adam Cole feud again in the future, I'm all here for it.
Yeah, about that, and even a lights out, because the thing is, Cole's on a roll, and I think he's off, not offense to Orange Cassidy, but I think he's off to bigger and better things in AEW, and to have the lights out gimmick where it doesn't go against your record, a bit like, of course, Britt Baker and Thunder. Then, Orange Cassidy gets the win that he needed, but it doesn't really affect Cole, as we've seen. And one thing I loved more than anything, and I don't know why, the graphic on the beach of Cole and Cassidy facing off. How fucking cool was that? That's what wrestling needs.
It was amazing. No, I honestly really enjoyed that whole little 30-second clip of it, and then just graphic after. But it just worked so well. Just seeing these two wrestlers in their wrestling gear on a beach. I don't know why. It just really works, and I just loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Really, really good stuff. And as a crowd, Cleveland were fantastic, especially after that ladder match to start. With all those big bumps, you could have been quiet. But they cheered Wardlow like it was Goldberg in '98, sang along to Judas. And there's even an argument for Baker just being a bit boring, But really, really good Dynamite. Like I said, when AEW is good, it is really good. And then Rampage, January 28th. Moxley back in action, beating Anthony Bowens in a fun match. FTR beat Brock and Johnson. I wonder if Dax and Brock will have a ladder match for custody of Arn. That makes sense.
That would be funny. I think that Arn would just end up blocking them. He'd be like, you might have won the match, but you're not taking...
Bring it out.
Yeah, Arn would block every time.
I think that's fair to say. Then Cargill killed Julia Hart, still wearing the eye patch, I know, to get the job done. Jurassic Express beat Private Party in an entertaining main event for the titles. And like we said, we were shocked that the tag titles were defended on Rampage. The Arse Boys attacked after. Will they stand a chance against Jurassic Express? And what do we think of the match with Private Party? Go on, Jaxie.
I mean, I'm going to always find Private Party entertaining. I think that they have a great entrance if they don't come out to the Hardy family music. I think that they've got great personalities. I can't help but laugh every time I hear Isaiah Cassidy scream. It is just you just genuinely believe that he is scared when you hear him and those screams. So this was a great match for me. I think that both Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy are a great tag team. I do think that eventually they need to do something with Private Party to the point where they're they start to realize that maybe Matt Hardy isn't in their best interest, because they do go on quite a bit of a losing streak, Well,
this is the thing, and I think this is what Matt Hardy's kind of done. Is it's kind of they've got him there, but it's just not winning, and it's just that one step up from and as we saw with people I can't even remember what their name was now, being released already, but heel groups that kind of not working out and stuff like this. So it would be interesting to see kind of what happens there. There's a lot of talent, and with news, we're going to look at news. Before we get into one of the stupidest stories of the week, like Tony Khan was saying, with contracts coming up with 2 years and the way the talent is stacked, he is going to have to let a few wrestlers go. And we've said it about maybe 3 or 4 talents, even on this podcast, of they need to do something with them. But unfortunately, there's only, like I said, 2 hours of Dynamite and an hour of Rampage, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And it is going to be unfortunate that some of our favorites aren't always going to get a featured spot, or might end up having, if their contracts run out, they might not end up re-signing and things like that. It's just the way that the world of business works. So we can't necessarily look at potential firings or contracts expiring as another sort of budget cut thing like the WWE are doing. So we do have to accept that, but at the same time, there is just so much opportunity that is coming out of AEW that you can't really fault the sort of screen time given to different wrestlers,
Yeah, I think that's that the Wingman who I'm thinking about, and of course they're Peter Avalon.
Oh yeah,
and that group will slowly be released as well. But one former WWE superstar that was going to have a match on Dynamite was Brian Kendrick, last seen getting thrown down the stairs in NXT. He was due to fight, but then remarks that he made several years ago resurfaced last week even, about the Holocaust, the 9/11 moon landing, and the death of Osama bin Laden. He's apologised and said these happened, a few years ago. But what I try and do is associate my people that probably would never say this stuff anyway. But hey, I might be different from other people, but I know everybody makes mistakes and people deserve second chances, but still, it is unfortunate. So instead of Brian Kendrick versus Moxley, it was Wheeler Yuta, and we didn't really miss him, I think would be fair to say.
Yeah, I agree. And I think in a way, this kind of ended up getting better, because if you were a fan of AEW content, then you would know that this match, Wheeler Yuta and Jon Moxley, actually happened before, and Jon Moxley didn't even give him a single fragment of a second before he paradigm shifted him and then just booked it out of there. Like, it was a one and done sort of thing. And I was really disappointed in that match, because I genuinely thought that this would actually be a decent match for someone as new to the business as Wheeler Yuta is, but who has consistently been getting better each week. And yet here we are getting a squash match. So it might have been unfortunate for some that Brian Kendrick didn't turn up in AEW. That being said, I don't really have much more to add on what you said about his views and his thoughts. I'm all up for sort of forgiveness, especially if someone has been sort of paying their penance and their due diligence. However, my argument with Brian Kendrick is we've not heard an ounce or a single apology come from him for his previous comments, even when they were on Twitter, not just in that one interview clip, but he has also tweeted out some pretty horrible things and never once apologized for it. So unless you're going to be sorry for everything and actually apologize before you're called out for it, you don't deserve to actually be on TV. So go find yourself some self-love and go and actually sort of pay your dues back to what's happened. That being said, we got that rematch with Wheeler Yuta and Jon Moxley, and I thought it was a great match. I thought Wheeler Yuta was able to showcase himself well, but he also learned from his mistakes and was like, nah, I'm not having you start this off straight away. So he came in as the aggressor. And I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed kind of seeing what Wheeler Yuta was going to bring to the match. I think that Jon Moxley got himself distracted once or twice with like Danhausen out there and Orange Cassidy, but I think it just added, and I think that it was one of the best matches that Wheeler Yuta has actually had in his singles matches so far. So I'm more intrigued to see him each week coming in. But we also knew that there was no way he was beating Mox.
That's an excellent answer, though. Like I said, February 2nd, Dynamite. Like I said, the curse from Danhausen allowed you to catch him with a crossbody. Moxie did weather the storm. And again, the story of Yuta in a little bit longer. And like I said, the next time they face, the story will be there more as well, with the power gun shift for the win. But after the match, Bryan Danielson confronted Moxley, and after a standoff, asked fans if they want to see the two of them wrestle against each other. The American Dragon said that Moxley had little support. He would still be the AEW champion. He pitched the idea of working together, denouncing the current crop of champions. What if we change the future of professional wrestling together, Danielson proposed. He told Moxley to think about the mic. And one of the things I loved about this segment as well, Gene, I'll get your thoughts in a second, was Mox breaking that full fall and actually looking at us through the camera and going, you know, what do I do? And again, I don't think we get that enough. Because obviously they know the camera's there, and he's the like I said, the fans at home are an important part of the arena as well.
Oh, for sure. And like again, we kind of will also feel that struggle because we all love, you know, Bryan Danielson, and we're all like, yeah, go with him. Oh wait, no, he's a heel. No, don't go with him. So we're also feeling that, you know, tug, like he should do it. No, he shouldn't. That sort of thing. We always want to be cheering for Mox just as much as we always want to be cheering for Bryan. So I definitely, I'm enjoying where this is going to go. I hope they execute it well, but I'm really enjoying where it's going to go.
I think Bryan may be the most underrated on the mic because he was fantastic here. And I just don't really name the top 10 or 15 promos, even around today. Bryan's not even on that list. And you think he's excellent at manipulating the crowd. He can go from heel to face, and the crowd is behind him 100%.
Yeah, I have to agree with that as well. I think there's, I just also want to kind of add on from what Gina said about like the level of excitement, because straight away from me, I was thinking we're going to get Mox versus Bryan now. I'm even more excited at the potential aspect of a potential faction going on with them. And I really would be very intrigued to see who they sort of take under their wing. Like, you know, Bryan Danielson was naming a few of the sort of younger wrestlers that he could potentially sort of wean to his faction. And it just got me all kinds of excited and all kinds of thinking of what sort of team-ups could potentially happen there.
No, it's just a great way to start, you know, like I said, fun match, and then into that, and adds, again, another layer of intrigue to a story that we thought was just Bryan versus Mox, is now turned into something else. And even if you include Eddie Edwards when he comes back, or, you know, it's stuff like this about what, you know, why you're teaming up with him, or these certain things makes sense. And even if Moxie just destroys him, whatever, you'd be like, oh yeah, well, that's what Mox does. We get an overly long verbal spat between Brandy, Rose, and Dan, culminating in the return of Paige Van Zant, who hit the ring and downed Brandy. The women's locker room emptied. I mean, fans cheered Dan, and they chanted, shut the fuck up. That means it's not working. So, I know Brandy tried to work the crowd a little bit, but it just didn't work, I think.
Yeah,
I personally really like Brandy. I actually do personally like her just because I really love her YouTube show, Brandy. Absolutely brilliant. But I'm not going to lie, like, it is very clear that the crowd are just not feeling her. Very, very clear. I'm not sure if they should try and continue. Yeah, I'm not sure whether they should continue, whether she should just take a step back a bit. I don't know. I really don't know what would be the right direction that she should go in here.
It's a difficult situation they find themselves because they're trying to walk that line, and Cody can get away with it. I think with Brandy, there's just too much there, especially if, like I said, Dan Lambert, who's so hateful, to get cheered, there is a problem. And then up next, we have Death Triangle versus the Knights of the Black Throne. And I love, and we talk about how great Malachi Black's entrance is, and the two of them coming out together is fantastic. And I, not for 1 second, did I believe Pac was coming out blinded. I mean, what was the point?
Seriously, I was like, I literally sat there in silence when he was coming out and he was on Alex's shoulder, and I was like, is this just all a ploy because Phoenix is coming back? Like, did someone like alter Ray Phoenix's arm and he's just gonna come running back like, psych, I'm here to help, or something like that? Because I was like, there's no way Pac is going into this match blindfolded. Oh, he did. He
did.
Proved me wrong.
He really, really did. Yeah, he went there. and he fought blind, and he was doing
Him
all
and
right.
Julia Hart need to come out together. She can have a rum bottle and he can have a walking stick.
That's brilliant. But this is the thing about it, and you're thinking, what's going on here? Because there's a story about, being blinded, which I think they could have done more on and delivered more. They kind of put this in this tag match, and the crowd had no interest in Pac because they were just chanting "Ole Ole." Like I said, it was, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the story was, about Pac and fighting back, and I just fear that he's kind of maybe, what can he do? We talked about it before. How can he catch a break? Like we say, looked like the Bayface were doing really well, but again, black mist, which is not easy to say in Penta's eyes, setting up Dante's Inferno. Black scored the win, and I'll tell you another thing I fucking love. When they hit that finish and Black sits down as he's making the win, it looks so cool.
It really looked wicked. Like, honestly, it looked like, I don't know. Like, those two now.
That was awesome.
They look like super villains. Do you know what I mean? Like, actual super villains. And I fucking loved it. I think this whole match was brilliant. I think that Pac, even doing the small little bit that he did blindfolded, was really impressive. It just makes me so proud to watch him, especially because he is a fellow UK based citizen, but he also is just absolutely badass. That he could have even pulled off half of those stunts blinded. So he's forever just going to have won me over. But at the same time, I was kind of blown away by that ending. That whole ending just worked so well for me. Like they've blinded Pac previously with the Black Mist. They've now done it to Penta. The actual end. What was their end move called? Is it Dante's Inferno? Did you say?
Yes, Dante's Inferno.
Yeah. It just looks devastating coming from them both. And as you said, Aleister Black looked so fucking cool just sitting down after he threw him over to him. Just like sitting down. Just
he does. Like, he's like that type of guy you want to hang out with. You see him instantly, and you're like, I want to go and be friends with him. He's just so cool.
And it's like I said, it's something I've tried on games before in tag team matches, try and get that taunt at the right time, and even with Black and Pac, there just seems a lot of similarities there between the two as well. The way they can strike, the way they can hit on the offense and stuff like that. And I would love to see them have the single match as well. But I think at this moment, the Team Black, or even Knights or Kings of the Black Throne, as you were, whatever people want to call them.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I spent graphic said Knights of the House of Black, but then like the commentator said Kings of the. So I don't know what they're called. So they're called House of Black. Let's go with that.
Yes, the Knights Kings of the House of Black. That's nice and easy. But like I said, they will. But all looks of things, they will be in line soon for a title shot on Rampage, of course. And, mate, I would probably say they might be successful because they are on fire at the moment,
Yeah, I agree.
Just really, really good stuff. And then Nyla Rose versus Ruby Soho. And Rose dominated the action as Soho fought out of an attempted beast bomb off the top rope, but found herself face down on the mat. Rose delivered a senton onto the lower back, then the beast bomb in the centre of the ring, earning Rose the victory. And like I said, very one-sided. Were we surprised this one-sided, or is this going to carry on the feud?
Not really. I mean, Nyla Rose is very, very good, and we already know that she can wrestle so well. It's nice to see her fighting with Soho as well. It's definitely a different type of match we've seen. And I think they need to do some more with Nyla and not put her in the title scene, but keep her relevant, keep her going, because I think she's so good. And like I would definitely love to see her fight more women that are coming into the AEW roster. So because usually we just have her kind of fighting the same battles, especially on Dark and Elevation. It's kind of the same people that she's tagging with, the same people she's fighting with. So it's really nice. It felt like a breath of fresh air seeing her have this fight with Ruby.
I also just have to say that I was shocked. I instantly thought to myself, Ruby's going in this and somehow she's going to win, whether it's roll up pin, DQ, I don't know. But Nyla got the full pinfall, and I think she deserved it. I do think that she even though she's had like a title run before, I think, since that title run, she hasn't done much of note. And I feel like she could be used more. So I was just really, really happy and pleased to see her in a match where she actually was the dominant one. And we kind of, all of us as fans, kind of got hit back down to reality in thinking just because our favorite WWE superstars or wrestlers have actually moved over to a different content doesn't mean they're always going to be winning every single match, So I liked the loss that Ruby Soho took. I also think that it was a great match between both these wrestlers. I also don't think that that's going to damage Ruby's career at all. She's only just getting started in AEW, and I'm excited to see what both women are going to be doing, going forward.
Yeah, I think without a doubt, like I said, we're going to see these two compete more often as well. And then the AEW champ, Adam Page, had a promo. Lambert, what again? And Jake the Snake appeared for Archer rush to the ring. No one contender drove Page into the steel stairs with a chokeslam. Delivered a blackout through the time. Keep his position. Again, not bad. Trying to build a little bit of mystique maybe to their match. But, laying them out now, you think your champ's going to be all right, I suppose.
But can I just go back to earlier on what we were talking about when Dan Lambert just kind of came out randomly for Lance Archer? This is where, my question came into it. Jake the Snake was out there. Bruv, we did not need you speaking. Why were you even out there? Jake the Snake actually delivered a better promo on the mic after Dan Lambert shut the fuck up. So it's why were you even out there, bruv? You've got your own team. Go and focus on them. Jake the Snake is here. He could say his piece. And then Lance Archer had enough of the talking anyway and just came out to smash things. So Dan Lambert is not needed in this situation. I just genuinely don't understand why he's kind of fished himself into this sort of group with Lance and Jake. Neither of these two guys need Dan Lambert.
No, and especially like you said, after they had a problem with each other, and that's not kind of been resolved. Even if it's a payoff or something like this, it would make more sense. But hey, we get Christian. Like I said, AEW is really good. So when it's stuff like that, that's why we bring it into question, because when people say it's perfect, there's certain things you can tweak, but by no means. I mean, Dynamite, I have to say this every Prelude, AEW is still the best weekly show, without a shadow of a doubt. Just for a level of excitement,
It's just different each week, and I think that's the one thing that right now WWE are stuck in a rut with, is that it's the same thing each week. Maybe not with the same wrestlers, but it's the same washed storyline of a DQ, count out, or a roll up pin for different matches. It's just getting tedious, and this is what is probably making people defect to AEW. Now, I don't ever want to compare and contrast them, because the thing is, WWE is the company that got me into wrestling, is the company that made me fall in love with wrestling. I'll still watch both, even though I only stick to SmackDown, because 3 hours of Raw is just absolutely not doable. But it's always going to be appreciated if you try something different. And for some reason, WWE are stuck in that rut. Whereas right now, AEW, this is why they are consistently good, because each week is something different, Yeah.
I think without that, and that hits the nail, I think, perfectly on the head. And then Chris Jericho called for an team meeting in regards to the recent dissension between him, Santana, and Ortiz. And then the main event, the match that we've all been waiting for, Punk versus MJF. The crowd were electric for the entrances, as they rightfully should. Punk beat MJF around the arena, but then ran arm first into the ring post. MJF drove his own knee into Punk's left wrist, effectively taking the arm out of his arsenal. MJF used his wrist tape to choke Punk, unbeknownst to referee Bryce Remsburg. Ultimately, Punk became unresponsive, and the official called for the bell. I was fucking shocked at that point. I was going, they've not done it like this, have they? And when MJF accidentally dropped the tape.
For sure, I was shocked.
And then we see the tape dropped, and Remsburg called for the match to continue. I mean, it was a shocking moment. You're thinking, MJF had just done that here.
Do you know what?
For sure.
I think the shock for me mainly came from the fact that I was like, you're actually going to put Punk to sleep. You're going to put Punk to sleep. Oh God, the irony.
I didn't even think of that. But yeah, that actually makes more sense. And he beat Allen with a side headlock, you know. And then Punk,
Yeah.
I mean, more importantly, when the match restarted, Punk hit a Poison Rana, which I don't think he's done since Ring of Honor. So that is...
I'd never seen him use that move before. Definitely not in WWE.
No, without a doubt. And then we see Punk hitting the Pepsi plunge as well, a move that he was famously not allowed to do in WWE because it was too much like the pedigree as well. But like we said, you could tell at this point he was pulling out all the stops. We see going for the top rope elbow drop, owning Punk a 2 count, but he couldn't capitalise because of obviously the injured, not only the arm but the established knee injury as well. MJF rolled to the arena floor avoiding punishment. Wardlow appeared, fired a distraction that allowed MJF to produce his Dynamite Diamond ring and lay out Punk, and 3 later the scarf wearing villain scored the biggest win today. And after the match it was revealed that Wardlow had passed his charge to the ring. When first Wardlow came out, we weren't sure what side he was on and sneakily dropping a ring. I personally hate the ring being used like this, but before I do, Gina, what did you think of the match?
It was great. It was shocking, and again, I didn't see it coming. I was thoroughly entertained, though. It was great, and I was kind of shocked. I kind of thought that we would have had this match on a pay-per-view event or something like that. But again, it was so good, and I want to see them more. I want to see them fight again. So, which I know we're going to get for sure, but it's still
to get that again.
Yeah, they're just elevating each other. It's so good. So yeah, that's good storytelling for you right there.
And Punk beating MJF twice in his hometown, because basically with that match the way it went, he beat him twice.
Exactly, and it was pretty much like, the first time he actually made him go to sleep, and the second time like he literally KO'd him. So it was like, Punk's most famous move of the go to sleep, and he went to sleep twice. So
twice,
it was
just so ironic.
yeah. I am totally looking forward to a round 3 at some point. But I know this is going to sound bad, but MJF is the best heel that's out there right now, and I cannot wait to actually see how long he will just jump on this bandwagon of who's beat Punk in AEW. Oh, no one. Oh wait, just me. Like he's.
Well, we're never going to hear the end of it, are we?
Exactly.
We're never going to hear the end.
But I kind of don't mind that. I kind of think that if you look back on it on hindsight, I really am grateful that out of everyone to be the ones to defeat Punk, it wasn't a face, but it was more of a heel, because this really solidified MJF's run and what he could bring to this company, and he needed a big win such as over Punk to actually elevate himself to that type of stature. So I'm just excited and intrigued to see what MJF is going to come back with now,
I mean, his history is impressive. He made Chris Jericho go through all the trials and then fight him. He's now kind of done the same thing to Punk. It's just, again, another brilliant way to elevate a young wrestler. And MJF is going to have such a great career ahead of him, thanks to all of these big matches. But he can also back it up. It's not like they are carrying him. He can also back it up himself, and it's working really well at the moment.
Yeah, these are the types of win that builds careers, to actually beat someone. And for all of what, talk about WWE for a second, or Dolph Ziggler or even The Miz has done, MJF beating CM Punk here is a massive statement, and even bigger in Chicago, My only problem with it, and it was fantastic in parts, 2 things. I know people are going to slate me for it. For me,
there we go. Here comes the butts.
No, for me, it was just too long. Not every match needs to be 25, 30 minutes. And I know they restarted it, but I just feel when we're pacing, even at the, pay-per-views and stuff like this, not every match needs that. Don't get me wrong, 10 or 15, 5 minutes too short, but sometimes it's the old Triple H thing of, in his head, half-hour main event, that's what it should be. And sometimes the crowd were ready to go home a lot earlier in that match, Even though it all kind of worked out. And that fucking diamond ring pisses me off. Because the amount of punishment that wrestlers take in an AEW would be tables or chairs off the top rope and they manage to kick out of it. And a ring shot gets the job done. And I know it's wrestling, but it's not 1970s. And it just, for me, I understand he's a heel and all this lot, but just hit him with your finisher and get the job done. But again, I know.
The ring isn't even that big if you think about it. So it is a bit hard to know that little ring is like knocking people out.
How much? It's not an infinity stone, or it's just a diamond ring. It's not.
It's not like it's the bunny when she uses the knuckle dusters when she's using a full-on, 4-fingered knuckle duster. He's got a pinky ring on, and the pinky ring is knocking CM Punk out.
It's beating
like really?
It's beating CM Punk in Chicago. You go,
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I do get you there.
I would expect CM Punk to get up and just have a little glisten of diamond that came out of the ring in his beard. It's just insane.
No, like I said, we talked about this before, that I actually thought Punk was going to win, and I was pleasantly surprised MJF did. And of course, like we talk about, this continues the feud, because Punk, much like Jericho did, has to get a win over MJF, but MJF getting it first, like he said, he can dine on that all year now,
I agree.
So we move on to Rampage, February 11th, and Adam Cole destroying Evil Uno. Every time I see Cole, I cannot believe he slipped through WWE fingers, or Vince actually couldn't see anything in him. Because Cole is such a star with what he does in the ring. Even the entrance itself with the boom and the Adam Cole baby is proper mission. Kind of got the boom, the visuals that he does, the Panama Sunrise, all these kind of moves, that he does, how talented he is. And then with a promo as well, and saying, we've added what chance, we should say, the promo, but, saying he's going to be serious now, he wants to take what he wants. It's really, really good stuff from Adam Cole, and it's unfathomable that a talent like that is not in, I don't say not in WWE, but he was dominant in NXT. How did they do that? What the fuck?
Honestly, it does make me question, like, Vince, did you ever watch any of NXT when the Undisputed Era were on top? Because when all four of them had the belts, the tag belts, the North American title, and the NXT Championship, those four were half the reason why I started watching NXT, because they were so good, they were so dominant, and Vince has done them fucked up by letting at least three of them go. If Roderick Strong ends up over there, which more than likely he will, knowing that Marina Shafir is showing up on Dark and Elevation at the moment, I have no doubt that he will eventually turn up. I'm all for a reunion and to get this whole faction with titles around around themselves again, because all four of these men have so much talent that was not utilized as much from WWE, but everyone else, every other fan, or even other wrestlers actually could see their talent. I just think that Adam Cole especially is probably the biggest asset that they lost, that probably would have kept their viewership up.
Without a doubt, he was the, you talk about Johnny Gargano's like the heart of NXT. Like Adam Cole was like the jewel in the crown, and he was the guy that was going to go main roster, and he's just everything that he did, and you just think, how can that possibly go wrong? I mean, Matt Talent's that has happened now, but Adam Cole's a guy who's still young.
It's Vince, isn't it?
Well, this is the thing. He's going to be, if, AEW, he could be there now for the next 15, 20 years as the main event player.
I'm sure he will.
Right,
I'm sure he will.
And so it looks like he might be facing Paige at the pay-per-view. I say looks. I mean, at the moment, there's a couple of things that you could argue for MJF, but I think Adam Cole, ranked number one.
He did say, didn't he, on the promo? He said on a promo that he was coming for gold. Yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's going to go ahead and challenge either Sammy or Hangman, although I don't really see him going for the TNT title. I see him going straight for the AEW title. So we'll see what happens. But I'm excited to see kind of where things go with Adam.
Well, the other thing I was thinking as well, where are Fish and O'Reilly at the moment? I've not seen them. I don't know if it's been a couple of weeks.
I was literally about to ask this. I was going to say, wouldn't it be great if like he gets to the title, actually wins it, and then Fish and Riley get the tag belts, and then a lovely surprise. We get a little surprise challenger for the TNT, and it's Roderick Strong. Bob's your uncle. Right there.
Wasn't Kyle O'Reilly like filming something recently? I think that's why he wasn't on AEW. I think he was like filming something, wasn't he?
I'm not, like I said, with the amount of talent that's, it's like, where's Miro? Like promos about him.
Oh yeah.
Where is he? There's a lot of wrestlers. I mean, don't get me
started. Veer has basically accumulated all of these different wrestlers, and they're all like in a bar drinking and just like, like, is it like, what is that movie, that Percy Jackson movie, when they go into the casino and they keep eating the Lotus biscuits that get them to lose track of time? Veer has taken Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly to one of those places, and they all have forgotten about time, and they're still in there eating those damn Lotus biscuits, gambling.
What a place it would be! Like, you got like Brian Cage and people like that, but you're gonna have like Bailey and Oscar, just people like sitting down, just not doing anything at this moment in time.
Yeah,
it'd be quite a nice place.
Like known as Wrestler Heaven, right there.
But we're talking about Rampage, and Rampage was special because Starks and Sammy wrestling. I mean, that is more rare than Unicorn Poo, having these two guys in action. Guevara beating Cassidy in a TNT title match. How did Desire manage that? I know Matt sorted it out on Dynamite, but I mean, I know it's an open challenge, but it's not a fucking. It's just, you're giving the game away. You know what I'm saying? There's a little point on open that you might win. Did anybody think, like we talk about the losing streak, the HFO, whatever they're called now, is going through? Is there any surprise?
It is a bit of a shock, isn't it? Just seeing like how bad they are doing, and Matt still talks so confidently, like his team are one of the winning teams. Like, how do you have this much confidence? Have you seen your losing stat? It's quite shocking, and I do feel sorry for even the Butcher and the Blade, because when AEW first started, those two were just so big as well. They were such a good tag team. And then they joined Matt, and I don't remember when they last won cleanly, at least, without having interference from Matt or Private Party or Andrade, and I'm not blaming Matt, but I'm just saying that faction is definitely going to break down. They're going to have a similar situation to the Chris Jericho and Santana and Ortiz kind of situation, where they're like, well, we haven't really been successful since being with you, so why are we with you? I can totally see something like that happening too.
Yeah, I completely agree. And then Darby Allin came out to show he's a face forever, and has got his eyes on the prize. But why still have two belts?
Yeah, why? I don't know. Honestly, why is he still walking around with it? I thought like the sort of two belt thing would have like kind of
a unification match. Someone should tell him, unify.
Yeah. I mean, they both look the same as well. It's not like, when Miro changed the belt entirely to look like the Bulgarian colours. Like, they both look exactly the same. So I don't see why they haven't unified those belts. And can I just also quickly squeeze in? I'm loving Andrade just calling Darby Allin this little kid. I just want this little kid. Like,
Hello, man.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what it is about it, but it's great. It is great.
Hey, man. Yeah. It would be interesting to see how it pans out. And then we get Mercedes Martinez versus Thunder Rosa. And there is sometimes I feel like I have missed a Dynamite or a Rampage to go, no, they just haven't mentioned it until this episode. This feud was still going on. Rosa countered a Splash Mountain, hit a unique slam that sent Martinez out the ring to recover. And as she went out there, she got hit with a pipe pulled by Martinez, of course, causing a DQ. I want more of this, please. I mean, Rosa was on a roll a year ago. Don't halt the momentum. But one maybe good thing from this is that we found out Britt Baker was the one that actually employed Mercedes Martinez. Does that mean that's a feud they're going to go back in? That actually made me happy.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I was totally shocked to hear it was her that brought in Mercedes. I even loved it more so when Mercedes was kind of like, nah, okay, we're like, you know, she's pointing out at Mercedes Martinez, and yet Mercedes like, you lucky I'm not coming for you yet, and just instantly seeing Jamie Hayter get in her face, I got super excited. I was like, give it to me, give me Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes Martinez.
I agree.
I need to see it.
I don't know why it just Jamie Hayter.
So
I think it's because she's a fellow Brit. That maybe I like her, but there's just something about Jamie Hayter I love so much. And when I saw her get in Mercedes Martinez's face, I was like, give me this. Please give me this. I would be excited. And it definitely made the Mercedes Martinez storyline make sense with that Brit segment after. Because it was kind of random. Why are you going after Thunder Rosa? Like, we wanted Thunder Rosa back in the scene for the title, so it's just tied it all in together. And again, it's been brilliantly executed with that, adding that little segment in right after the match.
Yeah, well, and the Martinez don't mind. She's like, "Him, man, I'll take one, man." You know, like, so it doesn't matter. Like, she's ready for the fight as well. And then the main event of Rampage: Ricky Starks versus Jay Lethal for the FTW Championship. And after a back and forth match, Lethal hit a cutter and set up for the lethal injection, but Starks avoided it and countered another lethal injection into his own win. I mean, Gina, I know what you're going to say about Starks, so I might ask Jaxie first just about this bit. How fucking cool did that lethal injection...
You know, the thirstiness coming out.
I know, it's going to come. Lethal injection into the own finish for a win. Jaxie, unbiased, how fucking cool was that?
I mean, I gotta admit, like, I even got a little bit excited at watching that. I was like, damn, that was so good. That was executed so well. I was really impressed. I think that Ricky Starks is one of those wrestlers that gets better and better with each week that he's actually in the ring, not just always talking on the mic. I do think that we need to have more of him in the ring. But yeah, after seeing that perfectly executed, like, you can't help but just want more. It was so good.
Well, I'm worried if that's the unbiased opinion. And Gina, what do you think of this match?
I mean, it was great. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't as excited. I'm always excited to see Ricky Starks, but I'm just not the biggest fan of Jay Lethal. But this match definitely changed my mind because they both worked so well together. And yeah, that lethal injection into the Roshambo was just so perfect. I can't understand how they got it. They executed it so perfectly. And as Jaxie said, like, Ricky Starks definitely should be being showcased more. I know he's had an injury, and so they've kind of just slowed and eased him back into, like, the wrestling scene. But he's got star quality all over. And this is not just because of my thirstiness for him, but he does have star quality. He's great on the mic. He has a personality that just makes the crowd want to hate him, but also love him. He says the funniest of jokes. Him and Hobbs together as well. They have good chemistry. They're always fun to watch. And that match was, for me, it really did make me be like, oh, actually, maybe I should be a bit more excited to see Jay Lethal. So I wasn't the biggest fan, and he's possibly changed my mind from that match. But I love you, Ricky.
That finish was incredible, and it's always weird when someone is a fan. Like, I know, obviously, with Ricky Starks, you kind of, I weren't that sure about him, but you always give him a chance, you know, because, like I said, someone else likes him, so there must be a reason, or, you know, it's a bit weird, like, it's about, like, friends, boyfriends, and girlfriends, you go, that it must be alright, like, but, and you look at Starks, like I said, it's just consistency, he's working well, we want to see more and more of him, and even Team Taz, and Taz really comfortable, commentary is fine as well, like I said, it's a really good kind of shtick at the moment that they've got. But that is it. We're going to leave it right there. Yes, it's shocking. Everybody listen right now. We're going to leave it there because we are going to talk about Dynamite and everything that happens, and alongside Rampage, leading up to our next AEW show, which will be AEW Revolution. Yes, the pay-per-view is nearly there, so we are close. But that is it for today. Don't forget, we're across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNRJR. Do you want to plug your stuff, Jaxie? Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me across both Twitter and Instagram at Jaxie Scarlett.
And Gina?
Yeah, you can find me on both Twitter and Instagram as well, Purple Pain.
Yeah, WNR also on Facebook and Instagram across all Google platforms. Send us an email at gmail.com and YouTube and podcast where all latest clips and podcasts got at the same time on YouTube, and then do SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate and review there. So that is it. I mean, on final thoughts just about AEW. Firstly, Gina, what are your thoughts on AEW this month, and what are your hopes for what's coming up?
I mean, I've really enjoyed AEW. It's not bored me in any way. It's just kept me on my toes, and like we said earlier in the show, every week that we get Dynamite or Rampage, there's always something that I don't expect to happen on the show. So it's nice because you're not automatically assuming it's going to be a show full of rematches, you know? So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what we got coming ahead. I am looking forward to more Hangman Adam Page, and just the title runs. And I'm really excited to see Mox fight some more as well. So bring more of it.
Yeah, I can't wait. What about you? What are your thoughts for AEW this month?
It's been doing really well. It's left me excited. Of course, we've got the most recent Dynamite, which I have not watched, which I'm going to catch up on just shortly. And it's just like, it's an exciting time to be a wrestler. So I'm just really looking forward to seeing a potential faction come out of Bryan Danielson. I'm excited to see who is eventually going to dethrone, Britt Baker. And I'm excited to see a potential Jamie Hayter feud with Mercedes Martinez. The only thing I really would like back right now is Miro. So if you could give us Miro back anytime soon, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point to end on. But let's not forget the next episode will be Monty with NXT update. Exactly. He loves me for doing that to him. Jaxie is back in 2 weeks for the Elimination Chamber review. I bet you can't wait for that. We get the old Jaxie back. The old Jaxie. That's who's going to come back in 2 weeks.
I love that. Yes, the old Jaxie will be back for Elimination Chamber. Check her out there.
Right, and Gina will be asking you for your Elimination Chamber predictions, of course, and then you'll be back in 3 weeks for AEW Revolution. And I don't think there's anything else that gets me more excited. I think I am going to watch Dynamite. There's nothing much more excited for AEW than doing a podcast when we're talking about it and I'm going, yeah, I'll watch it. I'm so excited about the product.
Definitely. I'm very excited to kind of go and watch what happened last night now. So watch this space closely, because you are probably going to want to hear all of our thoughts and views on this mysterious person turning up tonight on AEW. So watch this space.
Right, that we'll bring that all on the live show, like we said, AEW Revolution. But until I have been James Rowlands, and I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett.
Yep. Woohoo! See you soon, guys.
And of course, Genius Gina.
Oh, thank you for having me again. And Ricky Starks, we all love you.
Thanks for listening, everyone. And Ricky Starks. Bye.
Bye.